Okay, so the next thing is going to be intrusion detection and prevention. Okay, this is another security concept. So we have NIDS and NIPS, NIDS and NIPS. All right, don't blame me, folks. I didn't make this up. So network intrusion detection system or prevention systems vary a little bit in how they actually operate. There's a lot of commonality, but then as far as the action that they take or the lack of action that they take is kind of what differentiates the two. They can be used to log, alert, or take action when suspicious activity occurs on the network. All right, so depending upon how they are configured, they can either simply detect that there's activity taking place and they'll go ahead and log it, or they could actively take action and say, hey, as soon as this happens, do A, B, and C. They may, reset a TCP connection. They may block a port. They may kick off some type of forensic data capturing activity, so on and so forth. So we have active systems that can take action to prevent an attack, or we have passive systems that simply record and perhaps utilize that data for later analysis. Okay, so the difference between IDS and IPS, okay, the network part aside, just generally speaking, we have intrusion detection systems and intrusion prevention systems. So the main difference, IDS, it's been around for quite a while, fairly common, and it's easy or relatively easy to set up. But as you may gather from what we've talked about already, it simply logs, alerts, and events. So it detects the intrusion. It doesn't necessarily do anything with it. Okay, it may alert an administrator or something, but it's not going to actually kick off any preventative measures. All right, so it allows for a reactive response and further research into malicious or suspicious activity. An IPS, or an intrusion prevention system, is a newer type of platform. It's been around for the last few years, but it enables prevention. Okay, so such as perhaps blocking an IP address, blocking a port, resetting TCP connections, right, or TCP/IP connections, those types of things. So it takes some type of preventative measure to shut down that communication or shut down that action, so that that malicious activity is kind of halted in its tracks. The downside with an intrusion prevention system is you could have a false positive that could ultimately block legitimate traffic. All right, so worst case scenario, let's just say, for example, you have an IPS set up, and if it detects malicious activity, go ahead and block port 80 for, whatever, 5 minutes. Well, you can have legitimate traffic that comes in, maybe just a heavier than normal workload that comes in. That IPS would, falsely identify that as malicious traffic when actually it's not. Shuts down TCP/IP, or port 80 rather. I'm sorry, internet traffic over port 80, shuts that down for 5 minutes. Well, now you've just created a denial of service against yourself. So those things have to be set up with care, obviously. They do have the potential for false positives, but it also gives you the ability to prevent things when, in fact, you do actually have malicious activity taking place.